Okay, The Last of Us had its premiere last week. I know I'm super late to this, and I also know about the episode 2 of this season 2, which I'm told is supposed to really shocked people, and that is really going to take the show possibly in a different direction than its original game did. Is this a course correction? I don't know. To do this, in order to rant about this television show, I'm obviously going to have to talk about its source material, which is, of course, a video game. I have to admit, when I heard that The Last of Us was being made into a television show, I was not very excited about the prospect of that. Because the game is a television show. The only difference is you're actually playing as the main character, but like most television shows, the story can really only go in one direction. And in this case, you have a bit, and in the video game, you have a bit more involvement. You might actually get killed prematurely there, but fortunately you can respawn and then try again. That's the beauty of video games. So here's the deal about The Last of Us television show. The first season went really well. It followed its storyline pretty well, and even went out of its way to include episodes like, for example, the one starring Nick Offerman, about just simply a survivor in this type of environment, which was one of the most best episodes of television in a long time. And I had to admit, oh my gosh, I was actually surprised that a show like this, which should be going in this direction, went that direction in a standalone episode that I think is really great. And maybe the show is going to start doing that, because I've actually heard that this has been greenlit for a third season, which will hopefully be the final season. Let's get back to the video game. Among the Last of Us community, they don't really like that second episode, or that second video game. You can probably go online to, say, YouTube or something, type The Last of Us 2, and you will probably find links to videos that will explain why The Last of Us 2 really sucks. You will find this. Just like if you type in Tears of the Kingdom, you will find everybody in the Zelda community saying, like, this is such not a good game compared to the Breath of the Wild. So I guess the takeaway here is, don't make something really good, because people will expect a follow-up on it. That, or if you make something good, leave it the heck alone. And here's the deal. I actually watched a video the other day from another content creator here on TikTok talking about the perfect ending for The Last of Us, which, if you're not familiar with The Last of Us ending, it features, oh gosh, where do I even begin? Last of Us has a pretty zombie apocalypse setup. The zombie apocalypse is done through a fungus, which is only a little bit different than what you most see. It's a bit more of a scientific explanation for a zombie apocalypse. There's a character in the story named Ellie, who was once bit by one of these infected people, and yet she lived to tell the tale. She did not turn like everyone else did. So there's these group of people called the Fireflies, which are doing an extensive scientific study about this infection. And they see Ellie as essentially I don't even know what the proper term is, essentially an immunity totem from this sort of, from this disease, if you could call it a disease, outbreak, whatever. I'm not sure what the proper scientific term is. The main character is named Joel, who's essentially just kind of this free-floating mercenary in this new kind of uncivilized world, and his assignment is to take Ellie to where the Fireflies are. And on their way, they meet up with a lot of communities that are run by tyrants, and and of course just the infected themselves. And usually in this type of scenario, it is the humans that are unaffected, which are usually the worst. And so they run into the worst of that. By the time you get to the ending of the first game and the first season of the series, the Fireflies, after analyzing Ellie and sedating her, realize that in order for us to extract a cure from her, she's not going to live through the process. Now, Joel, who has lost a daughter at the initial outbreak of this thing, and has developed a relationship with Ellie and really loves her, basically realizes the only way I can actually save Ellie is to kill everyone in the room, and he does. Now, the thing is, once he revives Ellie and tells her what happened, which was essentially like, yeah, they let you go, apparently, like, yeah, there's no real cure for this. They've found other people that are infected and not infected, and they can't figure out what the thing is. And Ellie knows that the story is BS, and she asks Joel straight up, point blank, swear to me everything you told me was true. And Joel looks at her and just goes, I swear. And then she just says, okay. And I think from there, you have actually a decent ending to your story. You don't have to do a story where, I don't know, there really isn't. At some point in time, you have to stop telling your story. And I actually think that is a good point to stop telling the story, because Ellie is essentially going to live the rest of her life, long as it may be, because the show is called The Last of Us for a reason. It is implying that this is it. There might not be another generation after this. That she is going to accept the fact that Joel did this because that's probably the best type of love that is around at this particular time. And she's willing to basically go like, okay, I'm alive. I think my son was actually telling me about this ending where Joel kills everybody, and there are several different ways Joel could have gone with this. They could have had him revive Ellie and basically say, hey Ellie, this is what they're telling me. What do you want to do? At no point in time was Ellie given any volition in this particular scenario, and that's what Joel didn't like, because he wanted Ellie to live. And I understand that. So Last of Us Part 2, the game and the Season 2, started essentially in the same place. I think they're in Jackson in Wyoming or something like that, which is this town which is all fenced off, and they have various, and the people there are settling. There's a new civilization growing here. And they also kind of realize, like, hey, there's a severe threat out there, so they have guard duties that go in, and every once in a while they'll kill off a few of the infected. And that's essentially what we see. We see, like, essentially a section of the video game here on the first episode where Ellie gets stuck in this, an abandoned grocery store, and she meets a few of the infected. And she starts to realize that some of these infected are actually getting smarter, and maybe they're starting to evolve and stuff like that. I don't remember if that was a point in the video game that they do this. And as I recall, Ellie is also starting to get a romantic match. I think a lady named Dina, which I actually think they were involved in a relationship like right from the get-go. But the show seems to be wanting to build to this. So I'm not really certain what direction they are going in. I don't really want to get into heavy spoilers as far as what direction the game goes, but I might as well, because I think it's going to predict where this show is obviously going to go. Okay, I'm past the 8-minute point, and normally I start doing heavy spoilers at the 9-minute point. So if you want to stop this and, come back to it, because I believe that, now, this could happen. Okay, here's the thing. Joel dies in the game. Joel is killed off, I think maybe in the first half hour of the game, or however long the gameplay goes. Okay, because The Last of Us Part 2, the game is very strange, because not only does it mess with chronology all the time, you jump back and forth here, jump back and forth here. So when Joel gets killed at the beginning of the game, you actually see him several times in the game even after that. So yeah, I'm not really certain what it really means anymore. And so yeah, so you actually are, and part of the story is told from the point of view of a character I believe his name is Alice. And Alice is just simply the daughter of one person that Joel has killed. Now, honestly, why they don't have one big support group and just gun after Joel, I have no idea. But apparently that's the only one that seems to have a beef against Joel for all the damage he's done. And I'm sure he's done a lot more damage than that. But hey, a lot of people did not like Last of Us 2 or the game, because I think there's certain information that's given, and we actually see a certain closure as far as what Ellie knows as far as what actually happened and when Joel told her the truth about this. And I'm sort of anxious to see how these new seasons are going to treat that. And I'm thinking they might sort of course correct, because I think they know that most people don't like how that original game ended and what it means and how the action really played out for that. Because I've seen a lot of videos that say, if this character knows this and if this character knows this, then what happens here and this action here does not make any sense. And I will have to admit, they have a lot of good points. I've heard them all, and it'd be much too long to really talk about.